Introduction. Hello everyone. My name is Nova, and today I'm going to teach you how to install and run Stable Diffusion. Now, I know that some of you may be completely new to this. Maybe you don't even know what Stable Diffusion is yet, or you're worried that the setup might be too complicated. Don't worry. I'll be explaining everything in the simplest way possible, step by step. By the end of this, you'll have Stable Diffusion installed and ready to generate your own AI art. So if you're ready, take a deep breath, relax, and let's get started. Next slide, please. What is Stable Diffusion? Before we install anything, let's talk about what Stable Diffusion actually is. Stable Diffusion is an AI-powered tool that creates images from text. You type a description, like a futuristic city at night with glowing neon lights, and the AI will generate a picture based on what you typed. Unlike many AI art programs, Stable Diffusion runs directly on your own computer. That means no subscriptions, no limits on how many images you can make, full control over how the AI generates images. But because it runs on your own computer, you have to install it yourself. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do. Next slide, please. Step 1. Is your computer powerful enough? Before we install anything, we need to make sure your computer meets the requirements. Operating system, Windows 10, 11, or Linux. Mac users need extra software. RAM, at least 8 gigabytes of memory. 16 gigabytes is much better. Graphics card GPU, an NVIDIA graphics card, RTX 2060 or better. Free space, at least 10 gigabytes of storage. If you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card, don't panic. You can still run Stable Diffusion, but it will be much slower because it will use your CPU instead of a GPU. If your computer meets the requirements, great. Let's move on. If you're unsure, you can still try installing it and see if it works. Next slide, please. Step 2, installing Python and Git, important setup step. Before we can install Stable Diffusion, we need 2 important tools. 1, installing Python. Python is the programming language that Stable Diffusion uses. Go to python.org.python.org/download/. Click Download Python 3.x. Important, before clicking Install, check the box that says Add Python to Path. Click Install and wait for it to finish. Installing Git. Git helps Stable Diffusion download and update its files. Go to gitscm.com, gitscm.com. Click Download and install Git using the default settings. Restart your computer after installing. Once you've installed both Python and Git, you're ready for the next step. Next slide, please. Step 3, installing Stable Diffusion. Now for the most important step, installing Stable Diffusion itself. 1, download Stable Diffusion Web UI. Go to Stable Diffusion Web UM/automatic-diffusion-webu. Click Code. Download zip. Extract the zip file to a folder, for example, Stable Diffusion. How to? Open the installation folder. Go to the Stable Diffusion folder you just extracted. Right-click inside the folder and select Open Terminal here. 3. Install Stable Diffusion. In the terminal window, type this command and press Enter. Git clone h.github.com/automatic-111/stable-diffusion-webui.git. Wait for it to finish downloading. For Start Stable Diffusion, double-click the file webui-user.bat. A black window will open. This is normal. After a few minutes, you'll see a web address, something like 127.a.1. Click that link, and you're in. Congratulations, Stable Diffusion is installed. But what if something goes wrong? That's what we'll cover next. Next slide, please. Step 4. Fixing common errors. Sometimes things don't work perfectly the first time. Let's go over some of the most common errors and how to fix them. Error: Python is not recognized. Problem: you didn't check Add Python to Path during installation. Fix: reinstall Python and make sure that box is checked. Error: Git is not recognized. Problem: Git isn't installed properly or your computer needs a restart. Fix: restart your computer, and if the problem persists, reinstall Git. Error: Torch install failed. The AI tools didn't download correctly. Fix: run webui-user.bat again or manually install Torch with this command: shpip install Torch TorchVision TorchAudio-index URL hdownload.pytorch.org/WHLCU118. Error: Stable Diffusion is stuck loading forever. Problem: Your PC doesn't have enough VRAM or the installation is corrupted. Fix: Try running Stable Diffusion with the -medvram option or reinstall it. If none of these fixes work, don't worry, I'll provide a full troubleshooting guide later on. Next slide, please. Final thoughts. Congratulations, you've installed Stable Diffusion. We've covered checking system requirements, installing Python and Git, downloading and installing Stable Diffusion, fixing common errors. Now that you have it installed, what's next? In part 2, I'll show you how to generate AI images, write better prompts, use different models for different art styles. Are you ready? Let's move on to part 2.